Here we go, guys. Guns in the news. Missouri anti-gun bills pre-filed for the 2019 session. Ain't that great? They don't know what the Constitution is, and they think they can do this and they can do that. Some of the bills that they got coming up, so on and so forth. Some of them are pretty decent. Then you get to the anti-gun legislation. I'm going to zoom it in. Senate 23, sponsored by Senator Shemaiah Nasheed, Democrat number 5, would allow for individual second rights to be suspended without due process with a firearm restraining order and for search warrant to be issued for firearms to be seized. Senate Bill 40, sponsored by Jill Schnupp or something, D24, would impose criminal liability on gun owners who do not follow a one-size-fits-all requirement for storing firearms and if a child gains access, so on and so forth. Senator 41 bills, another Senator Schnupp, would require those convicted of domestic violence offenses to surrender firearms to law enforcement for disposal with no provisions for the owner to have them sold by a dealer or given away to someone who can lawfully possess them. 42 is also by Senator Schnupp, will allow for an individual's Second Amendment right to be suspended without due process with extreme risk order of protection for the respondent to be detained while law enforcement searches for and seizes firearms. Number 4, 984, sponsored by Senator Scott Shifton, would make it illegal for certain individuals who are already prohibited under federal law to possess firearms. Number 163 by Senator Schnupp would criminalize private firearm transfer. House number 40 would allow for an individual's Second Amendment rights to be suspended without due process with a firearm restraining order. Number 56, sponsored by Gretchen Bangiert, another Democrat, will require firearms being transported in vehicles to be unloaded, secured in a lock case, so on and so forth. Okay, let's get back here just for a second. Where was it? Oh yeah, see here, see this Senate Bill number 41? That right there is already unconstitutional. Those required who are convicted of domestic violence offenses. Okay, let's get to a point here. What they did with this domestic violence law is they passed this thing in 96 or 97, and they made it active not from the time after it was passed, but all the way back to Adam and Eve. That's ex post facto law. You are not allowed to pass a law after the fact. You can't take away a law, you can't make a law retroactive, thus taking away a right that you had beforehand. Ex post facto law is assumes to regulate civil rights and remedies only in its effort to impose a penalty or deprivation of a right which, when done, was perfectly lawful. Every law in relation to the offense or its consequences alters the situation of a person to his disadvantage. Laws passed after the occurrence of a fact or commission of an act which retrospectively changes the legal consequences or relation of such a fact or deed. Now that electronic, or that ex post facto, where in the heck is that? I got it here somewhere, someplace. Oh yeah. Yeah, your Article 1, no bill of attainder or ex post facto laws can be passed. And this, they got this, let's see, any conviction of domestic violence as prohibits by a person convicted of such misdemeanors, even if the conviction occurred prior to the new law's effective date. A qualifying misdemeanor domestic violence crime must have had the element of the use or attempt use of physical force or the threatened use of deadly weapon. For example, a conviction of misdemeanor violation on a protection order will not qualify, even if the violation was committed with a violent act. Okay? Now, years ago, I had a friend in 1980 who was a policeman. And during that time, he worked third shift most of the time, and his wife started running around on him. And he come home one night, there was beer cans all over the place. He went in the house, asked his wife about it, and she said, well, her dad had stopped over. Well, her dad doesn't drink beer out of a can. And so one thing led to another, and he said something to her, and she hauled off and hit him. Well, he pushed her down on the couch. Then he said, the heck with this stuff, and he left. Well, then the next thing you know, she files this complaint against him, and they call it domestic violence back then, but it was, it was just a misdemeanor. So from 1980 onward until 1996, he was perfectly allowed to carry his firearm, on duty and all that good stuff. After that, however, it changed. He was asked to turn in his firearm, and he quit the force. But this law goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. And the Constitution says that you can't do that. It takes effect after. If you look at Section 9, hang on. Yeah. Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. The mitigation or importation of such persons by the states now existing shall think proper to admit shall be prohibited by the Congress prior to the year, so on and so forth. The privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when in the case of rebellion or invasion, public safety may require it. No bill of attainder or ex post facto law shall be passed. They are not allowed to pass a law after the occurrence or commission of a crime and then lump you into it. It's against the Constitution. Section 10 of Article 1, no state shall enter into any kind of a treaty, alliance, or confederation, kind of like the red flag laws. You guys are all jumping on this confederation and alliance to take away your firearms. Grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin, money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and legal and silver legal tender. They are not allowed to pass any bill of attainder or ex post facto law or any law implying that the obligation of contracts or grant any titles of nobility. They've got to read the Constitution. The Constitution, people, says the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution ratifies and preserves for every citizen the right to keep and bear arms. And neither Congress nor any other instrument of the federal government can infringe upon that right. They are constitutionally barred from infringing upon the rights that you have written in the Constitution. They've got to follow the Constitution no matter what state they're coming from, because they all swore an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. They joined the Union, the United States of America, knowingly that they would have to follow the supreme law of the land, the Constitution. And these people are just going out hell-bent on doing anything that they want. You've got to put them in their place. I'll put a link to this description on this bill, or bills, I should say. This is Guns in the News, January 1st, 2019. Yeah. I'll put a link in here. You guys go check this thing out and keep on guard. Stay on guard, people. Thanks for watching.